So for our case study, we decided to interview a college student who had contracted an STD while at school. We found a female student at University of Pittsburgh who is 21 years old, a junior, and who contracted HPV while at school. HPV is the human papillomavirus, and it's the most common STD. It affects the mouth and the throat and the genitals, and in some cases can turn into cervical cancer as well as other less serious forms of cancer. It can be prevented through the HPV vaccinations. It's a series of 3 shots, and for some time now it's been promoted for young girls to get in their teens, just for preventative measures in the future to prevent HPV. Our case study received 2 of the 3 shots, so it was an incomplete vaccination, which is not good. It obviously does not prevent HPV if you don't get the full dose of the medicine. She said that it just simply slipped her mind. She had gotten the first 2, which you get after several months. So the first you get you get the first vaccination, then you get the second one a month later, then you get the third one, I think 6 months later. So she had totally forgotten to get the 3rd shot, which kind of cost her sexual health because she did end up contracting HPV. She said she has had unprotected sex with 2 different partners while in college, and she really regrets not getting the vaccination, and she thinks that now all men should get the vaccination just in case unprotected sex does happen. This is preventable, and so everyone should get the 3 shots necessary to prevent HPV. Her STD was discovered at Student Health in her yearly gyno checkup, and all of the services were free, which is important to note. They then sent her over to UPMC to get a colposcopy, which is where they study the cells in the cervix to make sure that it hasn't turned cancerous. And lucky for her, it did not lead to cervical cancer, but what they do is they wait a year to see if it does develop into cervical cancer, or in most women under the age of 25, it simply will go away on its own. So it's definitely just a waiting game for her now to find out what happens. So we explored 2 different options for preventing such cases like this from happening again. The first one is education and awareness. There's a bunch of information offered at Pitt Health that students don't really know about, and it's really important for college students to know about their options on campus. A lot of free services are offered. A lot of students don't know about them. I got like this pamphlet from Student Health, which is on making sex safer. And basically it's about birth control options, sexual boundaries, and all the health services that are offered at University of Pittsburgh. There was just a bunch of them there for students to take. This includes the symptoms, prevention and treatment, and possible problems involving a bunch of common STDs, as well as like precautions in terms of sexual boundaries, not drinking to the point where you do have unprotected sex, and pregnancy and STD prevention, which is mostly prevented through condoms, but condoms are only 98% effective. So students need to be using another form of birth control with it, like oral contraceptives, which are also offered at Student Health for cheaper than at most pharmacies, which a lot of students don't know. Another option we explored was testing, which kind of goes hand in hand with education and awareness, but it's a little less feasible for us to test everyone, every college student. But 1 in 4 college students will contract an STD, and 1 in 2 sexually active people will contract an STD by the age of 25. So it's really important that young people get tested yearly for STDs. For women, this includes regular trips to the gynecologist once a year, and pap smears, which test for pretty common STDs. AIDS testing should be done yearly as well, and HIV testing, obviously. That's a little bit more serious, and that needs to be done definitely yearly. It can be done at student health, which you can see here, and a common place where students get checked up is the AIDS Task Force in Pittsburgh, which distributes condoms and offers free testing for HIV, AIDS, and as well as other STDs. This was I also got it at Student Health. It tells you everything, every place in the area that you can get tested, including Student Health, Allegheny Health Department, HIV Early Prevention Project, Pitt Men's Study at the University of Pittsburgh, and the Pittsburgh AIDS Task Force, which I was talking about, as well as HPV testing and HPV vaccinations need to be given to both men and women. For a long time it was only encouraged for young women to take, but now they're finding that men should be getting the vaccination as well in order to prevent the spread of HPV, which, as I said earlier, is the most common STD. So now Hannah will talk to you about our solution to the problem.